You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton, here, hanging out with you guys. Hey, appreciate you guys tuning in. Hey, we have a really special guest on the line, and on this episode, we're going to be doing a small interview with the man, Ryan Knorr from YouTube. What's going on, Ryan? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be on.
Dude, for sure. Well, you and I, before I hit the shiny red, record button, we were catching up for a half hour, and we have so many things in common and so many things that we're going to be unpackaging and talking about with you just being such an enthusiast for the green industry, obviously in the homeowner category, which is a little different than what my audience is probably used to, but, I like changing up the podcast and keeping it fresh. But honestly, you have a lot of success, a lot of knowledge with talking about, grass types and fertilizer and best practices. And by the way, some of the meanest, stripe footage ever on YouTube. So, before we go down the rabbit hole and we get to catch up for about the next half hour to an hour, why don't you maybe just give everybody a quick snapshot if they don't know who you are, and what you got going on currently?
Yep. So I'm Ryan Knorr on YouTube, of course, and basically what I do is just kind of try to educate anyone who's interested in turf or grass, and specifically right now where I live, it's kind of cool season land, so pretty much similar to where you are. We're Midwesterners here, but what I try to do is just sort of educate someone who might be interested in learning more. There's a lot of new homeowners that come to us on YouTube, obviously, because people are searching and just say, I have a new house. What do I do? I have a yard that just looks terrible. I need some help. And so they either go down that route of, okay, I don't think I can do this, and I'm going to go to Brian, or I want to spend hours in my yard every day and learn this stuff, and then they kind of stick around with me and try to learn over the season. So that's kind of how it goes.
100%. Well, dude, I'm really excited about having you on the show. Like I said, most of the guys listening in, they're contractors, but and I don't know, if some of them ever feel threatened, by these like homeowner guys, and I'm like, dude, these guys are awesome. Okay, like I know you. We've been really good buds for probably over a year and a half now. I get to see you usually at GIE Expo, which is just a barn burner, and I enjoy having guys like you and Alan Hain. He's a friend of the show. You guys bring a lot of value to the industry, whether you guys know it or not. And so I really value having you guys share and have your videos out there. That I always say, like, everybody fills a role. Everybody is one puzzle piece to the big puzzle. You know what I mean? And that's having healthier lawns across America, man. Having great grass and turf that we can all enjoy at the end of the day, or our clients or our neighbors can have. And it's really, really cool. So let's do this. You and I were spitballing some really fun ideas. I think there's a lot of intrigue, a lot of mystery, with Ryan Knorr and his success on YouTube, which is really, really cool. And so let's do this. Let's hear from the announcements, and we'll just jump right into it. We'll not waste any time. So let's do it.
Have you ever thought about starting your own lawn and landscaping business, but not sure where to start? Look no further than LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com, an e-training website dedicated to helping you start and grow a successful lawn care business. Save more time and make way more money by learning exactly what it takes to grow your business to the next level. Invest in your future by first investing in yourself. Use promo code PODCAST to save 10% on all training programs today at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com. Now, back to the show.
All right, guys. So, hey, wanted to just say while we're here, just wanted to say, just take 10 seconds and say thank you to all of you guys that have, been leaving those 5-star reviews and have been just leaving some kind comments on the podcast. We super appreciate that. It does miracles with the algorithm gods, right, Ryan? So,
that's all it is.
It's such a fun game we all play in today's world. But and just want to say also thank you guys for supporting the Entrepreneur Academy. I know the little irony here of having a contractor, training website plugged while we're talking to one of the best homeowner guys. But thank you guys for supporting the academy. So let's do this, Ryan. I want to, like I said, I don't want to waste any of your time. I try to be respectful of people's calendars. But how did you get here, dude? How did you get started? There's always a story, right?
Yep.
And so out of nowhere, I'm doing YouTube, which is just a whole story of its own. But then, I think we kind of got started on YouTube around the same time. And I see this guy, just like I said earlier, laying killer stripes, doing some stuff with reel mowers, just beautiful, thumbnails, and just somebody that's also passionate about, mowing grass and having a beautiful lawn. And so were you like, oh, did you always know you were going to do lawn care YouTube, or was this just like a side, pet project, and you just got, overzealous about the lawn? Are you that guy? Are you the lawn of the month guy that everybody in their subdivision hates? Like Alan Hayne,
Yeah,
I'm just having fun.
my neighborhood, when you watch my videos, you'll kind of see that most people here do not care whatsoever, and I'm the crazy guy who was literally out on Christmas Day with my reel mower, like mowing my lawn when it didn't need to be mowed just because it needed fresh stripes. That's exactly how it is. So
I love it.
no, actually, my story goes way back. When I was a kid, like a lot of kids doing, mowing lawns or something like that. I was kind of interested in it, and I remember one day we were watching the news in the morning, and they were interviewing David Meller, who happens to be the Boston Red Sox groundskeeper, and he was talking about how they put patterns in the field and all this striping and stuff. And from then on, I was kind of just obsessed with that idea of striping and how that all goes together. But I didn't have any of the equipment as a kid, and my parents were like they didn't care. They're like, go outside and mow the lawn. Like, we don't care about that. And my dad used to take his push mower. We had about an acre yard, and so he would go trimming around things, and I'd have my stripes laid, and he'd go right across them, and I'd be like, Dad, I got these stripes here. Like, he's like, this does not matter. Like, I'm getting my work done. So
right, just a chore.
Yeah. So fast forward, then I really, since I was about 5 years old, I planned on being a musician. Like, I was singing in front of people when I was at my kindergarten graduation, all the way up until, through college. I actually have 3 albums of my own music, which most people don't know.
Oh,
so
wow. Yeah, I didn't know
kind
that.
of an interesting fact. So I planned on doing that, and I actually started YouTube in 2007, I believe, 6 or 7, when it was very new, and I had a music channel. So basically what I was doing was trying to promote my own music, but I sort of quickly realized that no one knows me. No one knows any of my songs, so I've got to play some other stuff. So I was doing cover songs, and all of a sudden traffic started picking up there, and I wish now that I would have known what to do with it at that time, but I was just like, YouTube is so new. Nobody really knows what to do or what it could become. So eventually it just sort of, I ran into some actual issues with my voice, and things weren't working out, like playing music-wise. So I was like, okay, I've got to take a little break here, and there's got to be something else that I can do creatively that I can still get that creative side of me out there. So at that exact same time, like just all the questions that I get from people, my wife and I had bought our first house. I saw the yard, and I was like, this is in terrible shape. Like, I've got to do something about it. I don't know what to do, but I've got to learn somehow, because my pride in what I own is just, I've got to do something. So
Sure.
That's really how it started, and I didn't start right away. I started working on the yard, and then the passion, sort of that same thing from when I was a kid, and started remembering like that striping and how I was into it and all that. That started coming back to me, and at that time, Lawn Care Nut was already on YouTube, and I remember one of the first videos I watched of his, and he was like, you come around the corner here, and this is your domination moment when people know that you're king in charge of of your neighborhood. And I was like, this guy is crazy, but I like it. So so that's really where it started. And I just thought, okay, I've got renovations coming up, I've got sort of like a whole season of trying to improve this thing. Maybe I should just pull out my phone at that time and record a few things just to show people, or honestly, in my mind, just to keep a sort of video diary of what I was doing.
Yeah.
And over time, it was like more and more people were coming, and then I sort of also was learning so many things and surrounding myself with people in the industry and doing research in the off season, like reading university papers about lawns. And I was like, it's become something crazier than I ever thought, but I love it. And now it's become my full-time job. So
That is a crazy story. Like it's funny. I was many a time I have conversations with my wife Liz, right? Because we're apartment people right now. Like we have like this condo townhome thing. I don't know what you call it, and but there's no yard. It's not ours. But I me personally, just like you, I can't wait to have a yard and just have a place to roam. Take my dog out. If I have some land, maybe get some 4-wheelers and all that mess. But Liz, she doesn't kind of get it yet, that like how it's so funny to me, like the older you get, you start kind of playing with like keep up with the Joneses game, right? And like directly or indirectly, and then like as your 20s, it's like, well, you went to college, and then it's like, well, we got our first home, and then somehow, Ryan, and you know where I'm going with this, people lose their damn mind. It's about their lawn. And it's just so funny and crazy to me, like how crazy people get about having the best lawn. And I love it. I think it's actually really funny. Liz thinks people are absolutely crazy. And she's like, wait a minute. You're telling me that people spend, like you said, hours and hours, like having the best lawn with like the right fertilizer and, the best stripes and the best edging and all this stuff and the curb appeal, right? I call them the Lawn of the Month Club people. And it's funny because you and I have such different polarizing viewpoints, because I'm a contractor and you're a homeowner, but we see the same exact stuff. You know what I mean? And and it's funny because I've told Liz that I go, yeah, like these people are legit insane. You know what I mean? Like that want me to cut their lawn, and they want it to look like a Ryan Knorr lawn or an Alan Hain beautiful lawn, like that domination, right? And I go, you don't usually get that with a contractor. Now we do good work. We get a B+, we get an A-, but we're not able to obviously spend the time on the lawn as intimately as you guys are, right? And so when you look at, she's like, there's no way that people are this obsessed about lawns. And I go, look at the views. I said, look at Alan Hain's videos, look at Ryan Knorr's videos. I'm like, their top videos are always, like you just said, lawn domination, where maybe explain that to people if they don't know, like a lot of contractors listening in, but what's lawn domination? Like I learned that from True Green, by the way, like.
Well, and Alan worked for True Green, so I believe that that's probably kind of where it came from. But at the beginning, it was just like, you get your stripes. Even Alan, started this as like, you point them in the right direction, so when a car comes around and sees your lawn, like those domination stripes are pointing right at you, like, look at this. Or he's overplaying it sort of for effect too. But I mean, it is true. Like, so essentially, it's just trying to take care of your property the best you can and be the best in your neighborhood. Like, I'm not all that caring about being the best at anything. I just love what I do, and so I think that natural passion comes out of it. But
well,
yeah, but going back to what you were talking about with Liz is like, actually, I think that because the world has gotten so, at least for homeowners, I would say a lot of my audience, whenever I've been to a meetup or been to a conference and people have come up and said, I watch your videos, there's a lot of people who are stuck inside of an office every day, either, IT guys or people doing some sort of work like that. And that's some sort of relief for them, almost, of being out in the yard after work and like taking care of something, almost like back in the day when there were way more farmers than there are today.
Right.
And, so you're growing a living thing at your own property, and you sort of have control over what it looks like, which is kind of, I think people become obsessed with that because it's just some sort of way of completely getting rid of the other side of their life almost.
It's sort of like an expression of themselves, and it's something that they get passionate about, and we get a lot of that with as a contractor, there's a lot of folks that like, no, I like doing it myself. It's what do they say? It's relaxing, it's therapeutic, and I'm, and as a contractor, I see, my viewpoint is always, man, they're out there slaving for 2.5 hours, right? I'm like, man, I could bring my zero turn in there and, mow that lawn down in 12 minutes, and
exactly.
And again, no right or wrong answer, obviously. It's just, Liz, she's just like, how many people are like obsessed with this stuff? I go, dude, like when you're, and of course we live in suburbia, right? So where we live, people really, really do get passionate about their lawns. And and rightfully so. I mean, who doesn't like a healthy, beautiful lawn that you get to walk across and like I said, play with your kids out back and play with your dog. And so yeah, to circle back on the Alan Hain thing with like that lawn domination. We used to get like flyers on training materials at True Green talking about, you always want to have like that neighbor that doesn't treat their lawn versus like the treated lawn from True Green, right? And and you see like you said, that boundary line, that dark green lush stripe, perfectly mowed 3.5, 4-inch tall grass, and not a dandelion in the lawn, right? Versus like the homeowner who has just a disheveled lawn, and there is some pride, like you said, that having a beautiful lawn, and we used to take just huge pride in having those lawn domination moments, and yep. that's where I think again, we're apartment people, so once we're out there, I'm sure I'll be a dad with my push mower, doing the same thing and watching half of your and Alan's videos just so I can be that lawn nut just like you guys, so. That's really
well. I think with you being the contractor, and you could probably speak to this, but like you're getting that pride, doing the work for the people. So it's the same type of pride. I mean, either the homeowner or you, but I mean, you get the option of actually going out and seeing your work every day, which I think that's probably why you do what you do. But
totally, I get that same guilty pleasure satisfaction, of laying stripes, and I'm like, well, okay, last time we went horizontal, now we're doing diagonal, and because I know that homeowners, like you, exactly, great point. Like a lot of homeowners, they want that same beautiful lawn, but they just don't have the time. And so yeah, we love cutting grass. I mean, I love laying stripes, and when a homeowner comes home and doesn't have to, like you said, maybe invest the time in it because they maybe do want to relax, or they have just a different lifestyle where they don't want to be outdoors cutting the grass. I still love giving them that flex, you know what I mean? Where they're like, man, look at that guy's lawn. That looks really, really nice. He's like, yeah, I've got a good contractor, So amen to that,
Well, I think that's where we both fit into the puzzle, like we had talked about a little bit before we started recording, was just that I don't think it's one person against the other, because I just believe there's always going to be quite a few people in this country who are too busy to go outside and do their own lawn, but they still want a certain look. I mean, that's
totally
just the way that it is.
Yeah.
So
did you when did you start becoming okay, so going to continue on your timeline with jumping on YouTube, did you see it like how you're making videos today about all these how-tos and tutorial videos, or I remember you saying originally you were just kind of documenting your lawn and maybe bringing it back from like you said, a little straggly and all that mess.
My friend Connor Ward, who's also another homeowner type lawn channel, he makes fun of me all the time because my first year I didn't have a clue. I mean, the titles were just basically like lawn update 1, lawn update 5, and it wasn't like, and people would be, there's no SEO involved there. Like I had no idea what I was doing. It was just like, so then over time I started, I started realizing like, oh, this is actually searchable content. It's not just for me. And then I started changing, things around that way. And now I do spend a lot of time watching or learning, researching too about YouTube in general and how to be better at your titles, how to be better at that stuff, which most people might think when they're just watching YouTube, but they might not think of how important that is, I guess, but it's extremely important.
Well, you have a really unique situation, which we're definitely going to talk a little bit more about at the tail end of this. With YouTube has become a business for you and a job to a degree, where now you run a business out of your home. You're an internet marketer, you're an internet entrepreneur, and you've actually been in a fortunate position to go full time by creating content for folks in the last 12, 18 months, which is just super cool and super unique. I mean, like, there's like, we talked about this before we hit record, like, there's the vocal trolls, that the 1% of the 1%, right? And and they think it's, ridiculous. But I'm like, dude, how many other people would not like to, work 20, 30 hours a week from home? And it takes time. You didn't do this overnight, but you've had some pretty good success with YouTube. And, from one content creator to the next, I'm always looking over my shoulder more than I probably should be, and I'm comparing notes, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy is tearing it up. The sub count, the views, and and all this stuff. And of course, the idea, we also talked about, the idea is not to, get rich trying to do YouTube. If I always joke with people, if you want to make money with YouTube, you can. But if you want to do it, don't do lawn care YouTube. Don't do homeowner, don't do contractor. Like go do prank videos. Go do family vlogging or kid. Brian, you ever see that kid, the toy unboxing channels?
Oh yeah, yep.
I mean, like one kid cleaned up like $20 million, and I don't know where you guys are at with kids and family and all that. Liz and I, like, we want to start a family, God willing, this summer. And it's funny because I always joke with Liz, like, the two reasons we need to have kids, like, one is so we can stay relevant with technology. Like, we need them to teach us how we need them to teach us how to use our iPhone, because we're becoming old farts, right before my eyes, and then the second one, I told her, like, we need to have kids so they can do a toy unboxing channel, so that can be our 401k, like so I always tell people, you now here's the deal, you've kind of bridged that gap, but we were joking earlier, it's not that you're this rock star, it's just that you've had the ability to have control time and money a little bit more flexibility, and now you can really dive deep with your passion, which is creating more content that honestly can help more people. So I think that's
the way I looked at it was essentially, I was spending all this time at my job and trying to do all this as a side hustle for 2 or 3 years. And
yeah, why don't you talk about it? Let's just talk about it while we're here. Yeah.
So that worked well, but it's just, the hours that I was putting in, it was like, okay, I go to my job, then I come home and either have to try to film 2-3 hours of filming, like before I go to work or after, and then I would sit at my computer, and how editing goes. Like, editing is a really time-consuming thing. Even if you're making sort of simpler videos, I would say just cutting through the footage, looking at everything, finding the best stuff. Like, it takes time no matter what. It's tedious work, but. So I was like, okay, I'm getting to the point where I see this as a possibility of a business. Like, I'm not going to be making $1 million. Like, I'm not even going to be making tons of money, but would I rather be spending my time at home doing what I love to do and actually putting my 100% energy into that, or would I rather sort of be halfway doing it, And so at that point, I saw an opening, and my wife and I always tell people this, not to downplay what I'm doing, but I don't want to give people the wrong idea that it's just like, I just went crazy and I took this huge risk. I mean, it is a risk, but I don't have children. My wife and I live in a very sort of modest, affordable home for us. Like, we drive old vehicles. I drive a 1999 Chevy truck. Like, I limited my things that I was spending money on in just basically to do what I love to do. So that's kind of where it started, and now I see the opportunity of maybe in the future, like I've seen quite a few of your videos where you're talking about your long-term goals, and I want to buy this, I want to buy a property, and I think that's perfect. Like, people in this day and age don't do a lot of that anymore, where they save for something long term. It's just kind of like, I have to have it now, and otherwise I'm mad.
Yep. Well, we try to pay cash as we go, and I trust me, I have no problem with business debt. Like, I talk a lot about good debt versus bad debt, and that's a whole nother story for a whole other time with contractors. Like, I love utilizing debt to shave decades off of my business growth, but for our personal finances, we obviously we want to be debt free and stay debt free. And so, right now, Liz and I, we were talking about this before we hit record. Like, Liz and I would love to have a home, and we're kind of, at that point right now where we want to buy or build. And at the same point, I tell Liz, like, I was telling her, she's like, who's a guest on the podcast tomorrow? And I was like, well, I got this guy, and I got Ryan Knorr. And she's like, Ryan Knorr, like, she knows of you, obviously, from GIE. And she goes, but he's a homeowner. I go, I know, but I love the homeowner stuff, because I told her, I said, you do realize, like, I'm going to turn into that ridiculous lawn, nut enthusiast, when we get our own home. Now, whether we have a subdivision lawn or 2 acres, 5 acres, that's a whole nother conversation as well, because in Metro Detroit, land is super expensive, and to get what we want, it's going to be $1 million. And I'm like, I don't have $1 million, we make a couple bucks doing YouTube, but it's not going to buy, a 1 point, we're not Demolition Ranch, Off the Ranch, that guy who bought, his $800,000, mansion that he's renovating, so I said, we're not there yet, but I know us, that we in the future will probably, do all those kind of videos, the homeowner stuff too. And, not to change our channel from a contract contractor channel to a homeowner channel, but I love watching your guys' stuff, you know. And so so you guys are right now, you guys have are you in a subdivision? Maybe a little bit of context so people know where you're at and what kind of videos you make?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we live in a really small town, kind of outside of Des Moines, and
Okay.
so we bought basically back in just after the recession had happened, and things were very affordably priced at that point, and
Mm-hmm.
so it was just kind of moved ourselves out a little bit from maybe what most people would like to do, but the price was 30 to 40, 50,000 cheaper than had we moved closer to the city. So
Sure.
it's not an extreme drive, like 15 minutes into the city, not any big deal, but it's just some of those decisions that we've made have really helped propel kind of our goals forward. So I'm always like, I'm not preaching to people by any means, but I know how living with below your means really over time has changed my life. So
I like that. I like that. Well, one question I get, and this might be a quick little transition, but one question I always get, and I know you see this too, is that sometimes, let's be honest, my channel on YouTube is a lot of contractors, a lot of folks listening in, they're contractors, and they probably have this, I'll just call it like this ego, they're like, who are these homeowner guys and what do they think they're talking about and what do they think they know? And I'll be the first one to admit, tongue in cheek, like you gotta calm down, because a lot of these homeowner guys, they're enthusiasts, they're nuts. Like they know more about fertilizers and chemicals and ratios than a lot of contractors. Now, that's not to throw my guys under the bus either, saying that we don't know what we're doing. But I think there's sometimes this, and I see very, very little of it, which is really cool. But I always say, like, everybody plays nice, right? I see so many homeowner guys as such an asset to the community, where, this might go full circle to what we were talking about earlier, but you guys are really there to enhance the landscape and let me know why do you think the homeowner channels aren't a threat to like guys like me, because I think you already, hit the tip of the iceberg there that not everybody wants to do their own lawn. What have you noticed out there with the same frequently asked questions you get, but then everybody, not everybody realizes that it's not as easy as you guys sometimes make it look,
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what we like to show is really what I believe is that there's just an audience, or if you want to call it an audience, but more like customer in general with what your side of the business is for both things. Like you just said, there's a lot of homeowners that come into buying a property and were just like me back in 2012. Like, what does it take to make this look better? And that's mainly the number one question that I get almost daily on my channel is someone just showed up here today on my videos and say, I don't know, like, where do I start? What would I even do?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think a lot of them go through that journey. And if they're really wanting to actually spend the time to do it, or they're that type of person, like the way I look at it is there's always going to be DIY type of people in general. Like there's going to be the person that just, I want to do this. I want to take this thing apart when it breaks and I want to figure out how to do it. Now, for me, I'd rather call someone who knows what the heck they're doing and fix it in an hour instead of me taking a whole weekend. But the same thing happens in the lawn. Like there are people willing to say, I'm going to spend an entire season like trying to learn this, trying to make my lawn look better. I'm going to follow these videos and hopefully they'll help me. But there's also a lot of people who look at that and say that's overwhelming to me, one, and I think I could probably just spend like something fairly affordable for me, and a pro could come in, and I don't even have to worry about it.
Now, do you see a lot of folks asking the top 10 same questions with you? Like, what are some of the things that you love making videos on that people keep asking about? Like, we're talking homeowner, making your lawn look beautiful. Where do you normally see people come into that equation? Where are they at? Their lawn is just like destitute and beyond repair, or they're just trying to figure out what chemicals?
Yeah, mostly it's all those general questions of either someone had lived there before and it's completely like just it wasn't taken care of. So how do I get things improved? Which last season I was like, this is a great idea for me to just take a lawn that I wouldn't call it in like complete disrepair, but it sort of was like a neglected thing. And let's just show one whole season of some very, sort of easy things that you can do to at least improve it. Now, is it going as crazy as my lawn or any of those? Like, no, that's another level where some people get to, and some people are like, this guy is way nuts and I'm not going down that road. But
right.
Yeah, so it's just about mainly people want to know, like, what should I apply? When would I do it? And how do I get rid of these weeds? Like, that's kind of the main thing.
Do you get a lot of your like advice or research? Like how have you become so knowledgeable? Like is it from do you educate yourself on all this? Have you read like the same kind of materials that a contractor would read, or where did you get your education on all this? Like people are probably wanting to know like who are you to give this advice? Well,
Exactly.
I'm like
Yep.
it's not exclusive to contractors, folks. Come on.
Yeah. Basically, the way I look at it is we live in a time that's amazing because every single thing that you want to learn, if you want to devote yourself to it, like you have all these things online available to you. So,
Mm-hmm.
one, I've spent a lot of my off seasons or during the season, like questions come up all the time, which I love because it's pushed me to say, okay, I don't know the answer to that. Like, how do I find the answer?
Mm-hmm.
So that's been one. And then a lot of times I write myself notes and I write like sort of mini papers on a topic and say, this is the research that I've done. Like, and I've linked stuff in there so I can go back and read it again. So that's kind of how I've built some of my education. Some of it just comes from, I mean, I've lived almost in the exact same region since I was born. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the grass that's here, the cool season stuff we do, it's not like a lot of it changes year to year. It's kind of like this happens at this time and this is what you do for these weeds. And so after repetition happens with that, like just like any other thing, you sort of become comfortable in explaining it to people.
Mm-hmm.
But then probably the coolest thing I would say about being on YouTube has been the relationships that I've built. And I mean, even talking to you today, we would have never spoken about any of this stuff had we not been on YouTube. But
100%.
It's given me some great contacts, like people who run sports facilities, people like Matt Martin on YouTube, who is kind of like into all of the science of turf, and he has a turf degree, and he shares all that knowledge with people. Well, he's one of my good friends now. I call him almost weekly and say, hey, Matt, I have this question, something I haven't run into. What would I do? And he talks me through it. And so that's what I've taken now as the biggest responsibility for me, is making sure that what the info is that comes out is accurate, is checked by research, all of that stuff. So
yeah, you're not just making stuff up.
Yeah, truthfully, like I loved science in school, and it's become kind of another obsession for me to learn turf, even though I don't technically have the paper on the wall. I mean, I'm just kind of doing it real world. So
no, dude, and that's the biggest thing I wanted. To maybe, like you said, if because I asked you before we hit record, I'm like, what's a couple like controversial things or some things that maybe people don't know from the homeowner side or the contractor side, and you were saying like, hey, like some of us, not everybody, of course, right, but there's a lot of guys that give advice, but you guys are you know your stuff. You spend a lot of time researching this, and you. I think it's just the same thing with my business, and when I ever quote unquote dispense advice, I always want to be as conservative and as honest and make sure that I'm like quote unquote fact checking myself, right? Like I want to, I don't want to have somebody buy a $10,000 lawnmower and it's the wrong one. So I do take my YouTube channel pretty serious, in that regard. I wouldn't say we take it overly serious, it's it's still cutting lawn, like it's still just grass, at the end of the day. It's not like, it's not like a manned mission to Mars, okay, where things could go wrong, okay? It's just, there's very rarely anything you can do in lawn care landscaping where, it's not going to grow back. And so,
but yeah, you take that responsibility of, I'm providing someone with value or hopefully some valuable information. And that's a responsibility in my mind.
Well, let's do this. I want to keep talking about YouTube and all the stuff that you're passionate about. We'll do this. We'll take a quick break. I get another just announcement just to kind of break it up a little bit, and then we'll dive right back into things. So let's do this.
Sounds good.
Enjoying today's show? Motivated to take your lawn care and landscaping business to the next level? Learn what it takes to grow your lawn and landscaping business today with training and education from the Lawntrepreneur Academy. Get educated with how-tos on mulch installation, plowing snow, aeration and overseeding, and so much more. These training programs are designed to help you save time and make more money with your business. Invest in your future by first investing in yourself. Use promo code PODCAST to save 10% on all courses today at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com. Now, back to the show.
All right. Hey, Brian, so while we're having all these conversations, and we're talking about all these different topics, like, a million ideas keep going, popping in my head about where we can go next. Let me ask you this, like, Ryan Knorr, the lawn enthusiast, like what is a good lawn to you? Like, what's some of the things that you get passionate about out there when you're taking care of your lawn? Because the reason I ask is, just like me, unless you're probably overly passionate about something, you're not going to make 2, 3, 4, 500 videos, right? So I know for me personally, one answer is I kind of got caught up in my own momentum of just making videos and helping people. There wasn't this ulterior motive like we both talked about. But from a homeowner side, again, to me, it's Fibonacci numbers. You guys are a different language, and you guys got your communities and your networks and your hashtags on Instagram and all this kind of stuff. Just do me a favor, give people maybe that are listening in, they're contractors, introduce me a little bit more to that homeowner world and maybe some of the guys that you network with, some of the guys that are some of your peers that you like watching. And then, but before all that, how did you, what's a good lawn to you? Like what got you overly excited about doing all this? Was it just, the lawn domination, or was it something that, you just like these how-to videos now? Because what keeps you going on YouTube, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, I think, at first it started out, like I said, it was just sort of my journey of what's going to happen. The transformation story was interesting to me because I think everybody, just for me personally, anything in life that I can see something that started and it looks one way and then afterwards it looks another way. That's why I love mowing.
Okay.
The reason that I love the mowing is that's my favorite part of doing anything in the lawn is just because of that. Like you said before, you're almost creating like a piece of artwork kind of if you're doing a good job. So
totally.
So that's number one there. But then as far as things progress, I think that the audience that we have now is, of course, they're interested in just learning different pieces of things. Like people will tell me at the end of the season, like, I learned so much from you this year. My lawn went from this, and they'll send me a picture on Instagram, and then it turned out like this. And I'm like, really? Did I give you that information? Like sometimes I forget that like every video, even if it's 3 to 5 minutes of this little 10-minute video, there was a piece in there that someone said, oh, that's like an aha moment for me. I didn't know that.
Sure.
And me, after a while, just like you're saying the same thing. So in your brain, you're like, yeah, I already know this info. But you're forgetting that all of these people who are new don't know that info. They're just coming there. They're just starting. And so that's what I love is that there's kind of a continuous cycle of sort of that aha moment for people where there's new people there all the time. They don't know anything and they're passionate to sort of learn. So that's what keeps me going with it.
Let me interject because I got to ask this because here's something that I got to say is that and I'd love to have you share about this if you want to nerd out with me for a minute and the videos you make have just, I mean, maybe it's like you said, you're doing this full time, so your dedication to it is a little bit more focused. But the last 12 months, you're giving out a lot of advice, just like the next guy, but your videos are very well done. They're very artistic. And I'll say a lot of folks probably don't really notice and they don't really care because you consume the content and you're on to the next thing. But as a content creator, like my videos are not like your videos. I mean, like my videos are like shaky cam. It looks like the Blair Witch Project. Okay. You might get a tip or a piece of advice. I don't know. I'm just having fun. Yep. I feel like I'm the if that guy can make it, I'm going to tear this thing up guy, and so I give everybody hope is what I'm trying to say. But you've taken this knowledge and this advice and these tips, but you've found a way that you've baked it into this beautiful cinematography. Again, like if folks have never watched your videos, I really implore you to, because the drone shots, the low shots, the mowing footage, is it now more like you said, a creative outlet for you that kind of goes full circle back to your music career?
Yep. What I was going to say was exactly that, is that it's become something, I mean, you might be gathering from even our little conversation here that once I sort of latch myself onto something, it becomes very obsessive for me. So the same thing happens with camera work. I had never made a video, and I'm not kidding you, not even in school or anything, like up until 2016, like I made those YouTube videos a long time ago with my music, but I essentially set my phone or like a crappy camera on a tripod and hit play and then just played my music and then hit stop. So I don't call that really making a video, but so all of a sudden after that, I started watching all these camera channels because I'm like, I want to make it look better. Like I just personally, for me, it's not for anybody else at this point. Like I know what you're talking about. My audience is not watching necessarily for all this cool camera work and all that stuff. But I became obsessed with it. So
It's
I
fun.
spent all this time. Yeah, it's fun. And so now what it's really become for me is I try to make, the how-to videos are how-to videos, but what I'm trying to do now is sort of make almost like a sort of like TV episode, I guess you'd say, where
Mm.
the story ebbs and flows and there's information in between there, but you kind of have to watch to see what's going to happen, I guess, is sort of my idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of standing in front of the camera and being like, and now we're going to go over to this part of the art and talk about this, like, what if I take that vocal part out of there and all of a sudden shots cut to other things and your eyes have to go like, what is he doing?
Great storytelling. I mean, for real, like the music, it really does. Like it's I don't know how to articulate or describe it. My vocabulary is not that big. Again, I got out of school, high school, but I think I really stopped school at third grade, so,
Yeah.
but you have like this really good, like for real artistic ability to tell stories and weave and the music and, even like, people call it like, just, talking heads, that's a lot of my videos are just talking head, which is just the camera's pointed at me and I'm coming at you for 8 minutes. And if you don't like it, I don't really care. Like I got a point to get across and I'm not going to make it super fancy. Cause I mean, I do run a decent sized, small business, I call it. And, so like, I can't dedicate totally, 10 hours or 2 hours to one video. Sometimes it is, 20 minutes in and out and we just got to get some information across. But the way you're delivering all these tips and advice, I really do admire it. Like I know it's a sad truth because even my videos, I'm like, dude, I put 2 hours into that video and the average watch time is like 2.5 minutes because they skim through it, they get the tip and they're out, and I'm like, you didn't even see the drone work or this fancy work, do you off the record, do you ever get frustrated by that or no, or is it just me?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's like most of the time the stuff that I put the most time into creatively, people don't watch like at all. There was a video last year that I made and it was midsummer and I was like, there's not a lot going on, but I want to make this video. So I was going back to my hometown in Minnesota and I thought, you know what, I'll just try to make a story about like going back to my home yard and kind of like where it all started and going like there's a lake in my town. So my brother helped me get some cool drone footage out there and just kind of tell the story of where I grew up and stuff too. And
this dramatic story.
it was just that time of year where people were on their summer vacations and just whatever happened. And like, I got, probably half the video views that I would get on a normal lawn video. And I was like, oh man, like I know exactly how it feels, but you want to be like holding a sign up to everyone saying like, watch this, please. I put a lot of time in, but it doesn't work.
Well, it's funny for me because, those are those same kind of videos where, I'll put, a half hour, into one video and then that gets all the views. And then I put like 6 hours into one video and it gets like, no views. And I'm like, wait a minute, how did that just work out? You know what I mean? Like how does that come together? And the only reason I just skirt across that really quick is because if anybody's ever felt like that, when they're creating content or they're just starting on YouTube, it's like you get 4 views on that video. You're like, wait a minute, like I just spent, for the one time in my life, I actually can dedicate 5 hours to a video, which is just insane, because you make like $12 on it.
Yep.
Well,
that's what we were talking about because I do that like daily. I spend like my almost entire day, working in the yard, but filming stuff. And then I spend my evening editing all of it. And then I look at it, I'm like, I worked 14 hours today and I probably made like, like you said, like $20 on this video, but things compound over time. And really, I think probably the question too that most people have is, I don't know, this might be diving too deep into the YouTube world, but it's like, how would people make money on that stuff? And so that's number one. Also what I get probably the most from my family when this first started is like, what do you mean you're going to make videos about you working in your yard? Like, how is that a job?
Right.
So, I mean, people that, if you kind of want just a short answer to that, all the ad stuff that happens on YouTube, the creators get a part of that. Then you just have to branch yourself out like any other business, Amazon affiliate links. I know a lot of people don't like all that stuff, but really it's a good way of, if I'm already showing you a product that's available that you can buy or that you were going to buy anyway by me speaking about it, then, I mean, in my opinion, I should get a little bit of value from that. That's just, I know some people don't like that, but it's also like I'm taking the time and giving you this information and
Well,
it's not that much money that I'm going to get back. I'll tell you that. But I mean, I think those creators deserve something.
Totally, dude. My audience is pretty mature about that. You know, people know that, you know, we have like the Brian's 10 code. And then if you're going to buy, you know, we're talking contractors, but if you're going to buy Cujo yardware shoes or Equipment Defender racks, like you got to buy this crap anyway. And crap being a good thing, you know, but so it directly funds the hobby. I mean, it's like the number one way, besides like, you know, watching the actual video all the way, that helps content creators. Like if you ever get anything from folks, like for sure support the affiliate link, support the codes. In fact, it's funny, I have bought so many things from so many people with their affiliate codes, and like other, like you said, tech review channels, you know, you know, they're like, hey, if you want to buy this this new camera lens, like buy it with my affiliate link. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Like you just, you know, spent probably 4 hours making this video for 12 minutes. You made it, you know, short, sweet, concise. Yeah, dude, if I'm gonna buy that lens anyway for $300, you bet I'm gonna buy it from you, so you can make, you know, $7. You know, it's like, it's again like people. Now again, if you're in like the makeup and you know, hair and beauty bloggers, yeah, those girls like they clean up like that. that's exciting stuff. But like, you know, lawn care YouTube, like it's totally different. You know, a couple people make a couple bucks, but it's not like, you know, again, we're buying Lambos, okay? Not yet. If my YouTube channel, you know, gets me to the point where I buy point where I buy a Lambo, I'll bring the Lambo down to GIE. We can all have a ride in it, okay? We'll take an extra day on Saturday after the show. We'll have a line formed outside, 200 people deep, and we'll all go ride the Lambo, okay? You know, so that's not exactly it's not on my calendar in the next few years. How about you, Ryan? So
no, not exactly.
Not exactly. No. Well, let me do this. Let me ask you. Just to piggyback off of what we were talking about with the homeowner, you know, silo. I think a lot of contractors, you know, don't even know you guys exist, or if you do, they think you guys are just homeowner related, which is kind of a duh thing. But at the same point, some of my best tips I've learned about healthy lawn growth and fertilizer and scheduling and rates and all these different things I've learned from you. I've learned from Alan. Like I watch everybody's videos. Like I'm not so prideful or egotistical where I think that just because I've been doing something for a decade or 20 years that I have it all figured out. I think that's so detrimental and really catastrophic to have that kind of thought process. So when I see your videos pop up, because I'm subscribed to your channel, a couple other homeowner guys, you know, full disclosure, they're usually like the larger channels because I can't watch everybody, you know. But I've learned so much from you guys, and I think you guys again are extremely helpful. I don't think anybody that's in, you know, my silo of contractor folks and friends should be threatened by you guys or anything. I think everybody works together. Everybody gets along, which is just super awesome. But maybe could you explain a little bit more about the homeowner community and the homeowner YouTube channel community and what you guys have going on? Because it is kind of different from like the contractor guys, but you guys have a lot of growth and a lot of great things. And maybe there are some homeowners listening to the podcast or some weekend warrior guys, you know, and maybe there's some contractors that, you know, for crying out loud, don't feel threatened, you know, for once, and they want to learn more about what you guys are doing. So maybe just give me that world. What do you guys got going on?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, in general, a lot of that stuff, I mean, you guys are taking care of grass. Maybe you're not able to spend the time on it like we are as far as on one property, but for those that spray or for those that take care of weeds or and all that stuff, the businesses that are like that too. I mean, the info is the info, and I think the more just that we're all sort of sharing that together, like what the proper way is to take care of things, and I think that's all good, no matter whether you're running a business or whether you're just some crazy guy out in your yard. But as far as our community goes, I've seen such a growth in the amount of homeowners that I see, like on almost every single one of my videos, who are just passionate about that. Like you can just tell it's not necessarily even at this point about them being out in their yard every day or a crazy lawn person, but just like anything else, like it becomes sort of entertainment to people, and hopefully that's part of it. Like that's kind of what I've tried to do as much as I can is, yes, I'm giving information, but if these people are going to watch these videos, I want them to be as entertaining as possible too. So there's just a lot of passionate people out there. And like you said, honestly, I actually think too that it has created more people who maybe have an appreciation for what you guys do, and also that maybe there's more weekend warrior people out there that are just kind of like, oh, I need to learn both of this. I need to learn sort of how to take care of stuff, but I also need to go to Brian and be like, how do I run this business the best way that I can?
Sure. Well, and I know you guys have enhanced what we do because, for crying out loud, like you just said, there's 50 million homeowners, dude. And what homeowner doesn't want to know what the pros know? I mean, like, if I'm going to go get my truck work done at the shop, or I'm going to go buy a vehicle, like I'm already YouTubing and Googling what they're going to do, like, cause I don't, quote unquote, want to get taken, or I want to at least sound like a red-blooded male and sound intelligent, when I'm talking to some other dude about something, right? Like I don't want to, FOMO, right? And so I think so many of you guys, carry over to what we do as contractors, in the practical sense, where they really respect contractors out in the field, running a real lawn and landscape business. They realize that we're professionals. We have a skill set. We know things that other people don't know. And then of course we're talking YouTube a lot too, where a lot of the folks that are homeowners, like your friend Jack, 5 homes down, he might not hire you to cut his lawn, but he definitely gets really passionate about you. Like he loves the fact that you're a contractor and he wants to take pride in his lawn. I think it's such a badge of honor when those people want to learn what I know and watch the contractor guys.
And also I think it comes back to, and this isn't, I don't know really how to put that, but I have a neighbor on my block who basically, he's just like, I don't even care about my yard, but I started watching all these channels just like I watch any other channel that I just find fascinating. Like I find it fascinating to learn what goes into this person's job and how it happens and all of that. And so I think that's part of it too, just on both sides of it for us. Like I'm sure people watch, to see what you're doing just because it's like, well, I'm not really running a business right now. Maybe I'm interested in it. Maybe in the future, like at least I'm learning something, or it's just it's interesting to me.
Totally. Well, I've got a guy, his name is Austin. He lives in one of the subdivisions that we do quite a bit of work in. Shout out to Austin if you ever listen. And he comments on every video. Like it's funny because he sees me out there filming, these videos sometimes with my GoPro, or I'm running around these subdivisions like a madman trying to cut 30, 35 lawns a day, right? But he's the exact guy who he has a $10,000 John Deere zero turn. I mean, a really nice one. He I'll be cutting. I cut his neighbor like 3 homes down, and I've cut his lawn a couple times when he had some surgery and he was out. And it's funny because he's got a steel BR 700 backpack blower. Like he's a steel, junkie. Like most steel people, they drink the Kool-Aid, right? And which is awesome. They're great brand, obviously. And he's like, and he'll shoot me photos. He'll shoot me a text message, and he's like, "Yeah, I just bought this new, $700 steel chainsaw," and I'm like, Austin, what the hell did you buy that for? What do you need? Why do you need a 700? And he, he runs a couple businesses. He's a successful guy, and he's in his like late 40s or 50s maybe. And I'm like, Austin, why don't you just ask me to borrow one of my 4 chainsaws? Like he's like, oh no, he's like, I gotta buy one. And I went up to Weingart's, my dealer, and he's like, I even talked to James and Alex, my sales rep. I'm like, you don't even need to go there. Why are you buying a $700 chainsaw and a $700 blower, and all these things? But he just wants to be one of the guys, he's a great dude, and I'm like, Austin, what actually fell down in your yard, right? And he goes,
yep.
Well, I had this the small maple tree in the back. It was like 18 feet tall, and one of the branches fell off. I'm like, it fell off. He's like, yeah, like that windstorm that came through. I'm like, uh-huh. He's like, yeah, it totally just snapped right off. He's like, man, this tree, man. He's like, it's at least a 4-inch wide limb. And I'm like, what? He's like, you know what I mean? And he just wanted an excuse to like have fun and relate. And I think like right around that window, I had reviewed some steel chainsaws, and so I do see like the impression. I do see like the connection with the homeowner guys. I think more people got to realize we're pretty interwoven together,
Exactly. I agree. And I think it's pretty, like just meeting some of you guys at GIE and seeing kind of the community, because, GIE is just still more based on contractor stuff. I mean, for us homeowners that have been there, it's just kind of a general meeting space there that we can all find one spot where there's a bunch of cool lawn stuff. But
totally.
You can sense the community and all of that.
Totally. What's really quick while I got you? What's one thing that I know you go to GE for some YouTube stuff and YouTube content and you have a lot of really good things going on. Like you definitely become a personality. I'll call it. But selfishly, is there anything that you like going to GIE and seeing? Are you low key like, man, one day I might just buy one of those commercial zero turns on my 5 acres if you upgrade the home and all that, or what?
Yeah,
what's your guilty
honestly,
pleasure?
Yeah, someday it's a definite possibility. I'm kind of going towards that world that you want to go to with like ATV or UTV stuff. Like it's always been. I had a lot of friends when I was a kid. I lived in like a farming community, and so I had a lot of friends that lived on farms and had 4-wheelers and all that fun stuff. And it's something that I miss a lot. So
yeah,
definitely the stuff that I look at there when I go there. But also, I mean, my goal and my dream is to sort of have a bigger property here, maybe sooner rather than later. It just kind of depends on what becomes available. But I want to do some crazy stuff there. I want to research different things. I want to build a golf green at my house. I want to do
cool.
a lot of fun stuff. So.
Yeah. What let's while I got you, Phil, just another minute here. What's some of the stuff that you're using right now, equipment wise? Like anything in particular? I know for contractors, we love talking about our equipment. I think we would if there's a burning building, we might run in for our equipment before our kids. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just having fun. But what's some of the stuff that you do? A lot of like reel mowing, right? Is that right?
Yep. So I started out with I think I bought a Toro Time Master, like one of the first ones that had come out. It was like 2013 or something, and it was kind of their new thing. And for homeowners, I still think that is a really nice machine. I mean, a lot of people think it's kind of expensive, which it is, like $1,000, but
sure,
for a push mower, people are like, that's a push mower? But I mean, it's sort of like a hybrid thing. I don't know. But
yeah.
So I started there, and I still really enjoy that machine. I have it, but then I started getting some, just because of what was happening with my channel and all that. Of course, you get emails from people and say, would you like to try this equipment? And most of the time, I'm just like, it doesn't fit into what I'm doing. But
sure.
There was an opportunity to try a couple of these reel mowers, and I didn't know anything about reel mowers. But for those of you who don't know, it's basically like what they use on golf greens or golf courses to cut extremely low, very great quality of cut with it. And so I was like, oh, this is fascinating to me. I'd really like to do it, but I have to put in all this time. I have to renovate my lawn. I have to get it leveled out enough to cut under an inch and do all of this stuff. So, but I decided to go for it. Over the past couple years, I've basically treated half of my lawn like as if it's like a golf fairway, and then half of it like normal height that any homeowner would do, just so I can kind of show general things there. But
sure,
it's become really addicting to me, and so I've sort of gone down that road of the reel mowing thing. And more and more homeowners are, of course, just like you said, if somebody's doing it and they follow that person, then automatically after time they're like, yeah, I want to do that too. And so now I'm trying to like not discourage people from doing it, but like show what goes into it. There's a lot of maintenance. There's a lot of products that need to go down. I mean, golf courses, golf is not cheap for a reason, basically, because the courses cost a lot to maintain. But
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, again, if you've never seen a Ryan Knorr video, you're for real, you're missing out. Like I'm not I didn't just get you on the podcast just to waste an hour and a half. Like you have some really good videos, and I love the thumbnails. You again, you have that artistic ability to capture a lot of what you're doing, and you have some really good drone shots and some of the best thumbnails and those stripes, man. With it, how do you can you stripe with a reel mower? Is that some of the photos I see, or?
Yep. So essentially it has rollers on the front and the back. So there are no wheels in general. So that's really the cool part about it, is that, part of your stripe that you're getting is from those wheels, which kind of blends in, if you have a good striping kit or if the mower just stripes well in general. But with reel mowers, there's no wheels at all. So it's just, once that's laid over like that, like you see at a baseball stadium or something with those checkered patterns and all, like you don't see any wheel marks, basically just because it's all rolled and it looks so nice and flat. And yeah.
Dude, I watch you. There's a friend of mine, Paul Jameson. He does a lot of reel mowing, and I think he's like in the Atlanta area. And I don't know all the warm season grasses or pretend to know like where he's at with regional, with all the stuff he's got going on. But he does some of those real mowing videos and photos on, especially on Instagram, and I just think it's fascinating. It looks really really sharp, you know. Well, dude, this has been a really good podcast. This has been a treat for me. We're probably right here at about an hour, so I don't want to overextend myself on your calendar. Again, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your morning. We're doing this bright and early, and you were joking. You're like, I got to get up early for this. You know, I'm like, hey, come on now, help a brother out. No, we were just having fun. But in fact, actually, you said like it was like 3 days later. You're like, how about on Monday? I'm like, oh my God, like I super appreciate you being so accessible and available. Well, before we sign off, where can people find you? If people want to find more of Ryan Knorr, you know, on YouTube and all this stuff, maybe just give everybody your socials so they know where they can find you if they want to learn a little bit more about what you got going on.
Yep, basically I'm Ryan Knorr Lawn Care on the YouTubes, and basically that confuses people because they think that I'm a lawn care company, and I kind of wish I would have changed my branding, but I started my channel as just my name, and then it became like all of this stuff is about lawns, because originally I thought, like most people, like, yeah, I'm going to make these videos, and eventually I'll make some videos about this, and it'll be all these random topics, and then I realized that's not how YouTube works. You need a niche, and you need to be, like, making similar content. So after that, I branded it to, I was just like, well, this is all about lawn care, so I guess it's just a lawn care channel. And then some people were like, well, does that mean you run a business? And I was like, well, I do run a business, but I'm not like a contractor, so it confuses people. But yeah, that's where I'm at mainly. Last name is Knorr. I always say there's two useless letters, so that's one. And then I'm on Instagram, same thing, Ryan Knorr Lawn Care on there. Twitter, just Ryan Knorr, but mainly Instagram and YouTube are where I'm pretty much at most of the time.
I love it, man. I love it. And by the way, we were joking about this behind the scenes. You have a really fast growing YouTube channel. There's you're super humble, super modest, which is just another great sign of just, you know, you being a good leader out there with trying to help people out, and just showing that you're really passionate about it, and you don't get caught up in the numbers. But I will say this, you're really close to in YouTube world, you know, there's this big coveted prize, if you will, and it's not like it's never really started as the goal, but as you continue to grow, you kind of have you have to have some kind of motivation. You know, you have to have some kind of some dream or some vision out there to like grow a bigger channel, because it's like going through the desert, to be honest with you guys. It's it seems like a long road to hoe. But you're almost to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and you get that huge shiny silver play button. It's a big accolade to a lot of YouTubers. And so you're coming up on that really, really quick, man. I'm really, really excited for you. I've been a big Ryan Knorr fan, like I said, behind the scenes, because I kind of started my channel and I was on the come up with you, and I'm just really, really excited about all your growth, man. And is that something that you're looking to hopefully lock down and accomplish this summer?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, you know, I appreciate you saying that. I do try to be pretty low key person. I think if you ever watch my videos, you'll see I'm not really a in your face type guy. I'm a pretty low key guy, but
sure.
Definitely, of course, like a goal of 100,000 is, you know, we're getting close. You and I are pretty neck and neck. We're having a race right now. So
yeah.
I think that, it's definitely a goal of mine. I've just been so appreciative of everybody who's wanted to follow along and kind of get to know me more. And I'm having a blast, and who knows when things might change. YouTube's a weird world, but for now, I treat every day as appreciative of what I have and what I can do, and continue to give back as much as I can.
I love it, dude. I love it. Well, I appreciate you sharing and you know, being honest too, because I mean it's really, really cool seeing people grow on YouTube. You know, I've always been a big cheerleader of other people's growth and success in the lawn care community, and that's whether that's contractors or homeowners. Like I said, we're all in this together. You know, so again, thanks for taking some time out of your morning, man. I appreciate you spending some time with us on the show. Yeah,
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
For sure. Well, guys, that's going to be it for this episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Again, if you guys enjoyed the show, do us a big solid. Just look down at your phone, takes 10 seconds, hit that 5-star review. If you liked it, hit 5 stars. If you didn't like it, hit 5 stars. Okay, we all know how the mighty algorithm gods control pretty much every one of our futures nowadays. It's Skynet's taking over, man. So we appreciate you guys big time that have supported the show and take a couple of minutes to leave some fun comments and some encouraging words. But guys, that's pretty much it. We're gonna wrap it up here, and we look forward to catching up with you guys on another episode of Fullerton Unfiltered.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.